This lesson we're looking at inflation. So inflation is an increase in the prices of all our goods and services. So you would have heard that word a lot in this last year or so. So the annual inflation rate in Australia is normally around 2 to 3%. That's why they cost more than what they did a few years ago or in the olden days, if you hear people talk about that. So to calculate the future value or present value, we need to use our compound interest formula. So we looked at that last lesson. So we need to just take a recap of that. That is our FV equals PV, 1 plus our rate to the power of the number of terms or periods that we're using. So in our example, we have the current cost of a new car today is $45,000. Calculate the price 7 years ago if the inflation rate was a constant 2.5% during this time. Round it to the nearest dollar. So what we need to do is we start with our compound interest formula. We have FV equals PV, 1 plus R to the power of n. Now, if we work out all the bits of information here, again, this can make it easier for us to determine what we're trying to find. So we need to calculate the cost 7 years ago. So that's our number, that's our period. R is our rate, that's the same. So 2.5%, which gives us 0.025 as our decimal multiplier. Now that $45,000, that's what we need to try and determine. Is it our future value or our present value? So if we look at this, it says the current cost of a new car today is $45,000. Calculate its price 7 years ago. So this is where it comes into it. The cost of the car today is $45,000, but 7 years ago when it was bought, this is what it's saying it would have been. So this is actually our future value, our $45,000. And we're then trying to find, well, what did we actually pay for it 7 years ago? So if we put in our information, 45,000 equals PV. Now, between our value here and our bracket, there's a little invisible multiplication. So then 1 plus 0.025 to the power of 7. Now, like what we did when we had to solve one like this before, when we had to find the rate, we need to get rid of everything here to leave just our PV, or our present value. So we're going to divide by all of the things in that bracket as well as that power. So divide by 1 plus 0.025 to the power of 7. That will give us our present value. So if we work that out, we get 37,856.94, but I want this to the nearest dollar. So because after my decimal point I have a 9, that's going to round up. So we get $37,857. Now, again, this is a worded question, so we need to make sure we end this with a worded answer. So therefore, we're finding the inflation rate there, so we're finding our present value. Therefore, the present value, I forgot what we were doing there, of the car 7 years ago was $37,857.